that occurred to me about a week ago, because I have studied, and many of us have studied, Babylon in America looking like Babylon of Revelation. And at this point, I am seriously considering that there are these sinister forces that are methodically grooming America to be end times Babylon for the sole purpose of destroying the country in fulfillment of biblical prophecy.
All right, Chris, you've been here. That's probably the most far-out thing you've said so far.
It absolutely is the most far-out thing I've said so far.
See what happens when you hang around us here at True News?
Yeah, I know. And so it's just a thought. But, when you study these things, you see that America's great commerce center lives in luxury, making other nations rich, buying their merchandise, adulterous in regard to loyalty to God, sexually immoral, and the beast that she rides that no one can make war with. It's the world's policeman. So we all agree, we see these things as America, as Babylon. So
you're saying that this sinister, diabolical plan, perestroika deception that was launched in the 60s, was to change America from being a godly Christian nation into a wicked, sinful, lustful nation that morphed into Babylon so that its only end result would be to be destroyed.
I would go beyond that and say that I believe recently they've picked up on the conversations of American Christians who have come to the conclusion that they're living in Babylon and that they're actually helping to fulfill that story. They're actually grooming, they're actually working towards that. And let me say that this is how that might be happening. Mm-hmm. They're working at the same time to make Babylon appear to be evil. And by they, I'm not talking about Russia. I'm talking about the party, the Communist Party, the global Communist Party that's infiltrated all over the world and into our leadership.
Because they used Russia for their purposes for decades.
Correct. But I want to assure Christian listeners in Russia, we're not accusing them of plotting against the U.S., but merely saying that the Communist Party has picked up these observations and prophecies that America is Babylon, and that they've incorporated these things in their plan, in their tactical strategy to destroy the country.
And I believe the Communist Party is the political arm of the Church of Satan. It is the political party of the Synagogue of Satan. I mean, what we're up against, the Communist Party, is simply the political arm of Satan's empire.
Okay, but they've put on this face, as far as Russia, the nation of Russia, they've put on this face of Christianity and morality. There's two sides to the script. They're the instigators, and they're also the future instrument of God's judgment. Let me explain. They, the communist movement, are actively involved in portraying America as decadent, rich, sexually immoral, even abominable in the sight of God. And at the same time, Russia is positioning itself as a bastion of morality and godliness so that they will appear to be justified in leading the world in the destruction of the great harlot. America's leaders, who are obviously following instructions from the Communist Party, are purposefully throwing America under the bus. They're methodically impressing upon Americans and the rest of the world that America is sold out to immorality, totally given over to sexual sin. And we see the examples that you gave earlier, the president going to Hawaii and saying homosexuality is an American value, and John Kerry saying, I'm working hard to ensure that during my tenure we will have lesbian, bisexual, transgender ambassadors in our rank, and they're running up the rainbow flag over the embassy in Israel. So they're doing all these things to impress upon the world our sinfulness. And at the same time, in this final phase, Russia is rising up to actually be a righteous judge of America and fulfill that. You know, we saw that article by Alexander Dugin. You pointed it out to me, the Russian scholar. And
who is an advisor to Mr. Putin.
That's right. He's actually called Putin's brain. And I want to make a couple quotes that he said. He said, quote, "The USA is a chimerical, anti-organic, transplanted culture which does not have sacral state traditions and cultural soil, but nevertheless tries to force upon the other continents its anti-ethnic, anti-traditional, Babylonic model." And again, here's another quote.
So he referred to America as Babylon.
Yeah.
This is a man called Putin's brain.
Yes, and here's another one. Quote, "We must create strategic alliances to overthrow the present order of things, of which the core could be described as human rights, anti-hierarchy, and political correctness. Everything that is the face of the beast, the Antichrist." So they're referring to America as the beast, as Antichrist, as Babylon. Now, we went over those final stages of perestroika. There's only a couple predictions that have not happened yet. One is predicted by Golitsyn that America would become so weak that it would drop out of NATO by 2000. And the other prediction is the Bible prophecy that Babylon will persecute the saints before it is destroyed. The Communist Party may try to kill these two birds with one stone. Let me explain that. To further weaken the U.S. through persecution while fulfilling the prophecy, and then to eventually eliminate the U.S. so that the party, the Communist Party, becomes the only world superpower. They actually invade the U.S. under the guise of protecting persecuted Christians. Russians may even try to free Christians from FEMA camps and prisons to get them out of the country during the charade. Isn't that bizarre? But after this mock campaign against Christian persecution, the U.S. will be destroyed by fire in fulfillment of Bible prophecy, and this will leave the Chinese-Russian bloc as the world's only superpower.
Chris?
After this mock campaign against Christian persecution, the U.S. will be destroyed by fire in fulfillment of Bible prophecy, and this will leave the Chinese-Russian bloc as the world's only superpower.
Back the blanket, revealed the deception so that the people could stop it. Now, again, it's a dream, okay? And a dream doesn't line up with biblical prophecy. I understand that.
Conclusions that I've been coming to are correct, then what should American Christians be doing? If America is Babylon, then the Bible gives the directive to come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues. And that means if the Lord provides a way, then Christians need to be getting out of the country as soon as possible. But it may be for many people that God has not only granted them to believe in Jesus, but also to suffer for his name's sake. We see this in Scripture. But there are a lot of people who just may not be called to get out of here. But people need to realize that if they do stay here and they are imprisoned, they'll probably never get out of those prisons or camps before America is destroyed. This is the reality. This is the truth that needs to be taken to heart so that people know how to respond. And I believe time is very short because we're in the final phase of this strategy now.
That's the point. That's the point. We're in the final stage. The termites have been eating away at the society for decades. The damage perhaps is irreparable. Only God knows that. Whether it can be halted and the foundation shored up and the nation salvaged, that it does not collapse. If this is prophecy being fulfilled and America has been turned into Babylon, then you're not going to stop it. That's the part we don't know. That's the part we're all wrestling with individually. But for certain, we're in the very final stage of this deception.
Absolutely.
And this is a very dangerous stage. Very dangerous stage. What you and I are doing right now over the airwaves and through the internet, this is very dangerous because if we are exposing the last stage of this operation, then this could cause complications for what people are trying to accomplish. But this is a very dangerous stage right now because the country's being taken down. And people need to know how dangerous it is, and they need to be right with God.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is not a time to be, to have hidden sins in your life. It's not a time to be playing with the devil on the side. You've got to be sure that.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. You can visit us on www.therealthingmean.webs.com.